Hello guys, how are you? I'm Zeca Salgueiro and I'm your English teacher. Today we're going to talk about, conditionals, right? Remember we talked about already zero conditional and first conditional. And today we're going to talk about the second conditional. Let's go, shall we? My dreams. If I won the lottery, I would buy a boat. Is it easy to win the lottery? No, right? But it's easy to deduce that the second conditional describes a probable possibility or an improbable possibility. An improbable possibility, of course. And we also are talking about a hypothetical situation or even if an impossible one. If I say, if I could fly, I would not fly by myself. So it's a kind of impossible possibility. What about the structure? Okay, I have to say every time, every conditional sentence has two clauses. The if clause and the result clause. The if clause in the second conditional has if plus subject, in this case I, plus the verb in past simple, one, plus a complement, if there's any. We have a complement now, the lottery. And the result clause will have subject, I again, the modal verb would, verb in the base form, because you know, after any modal verb, would, could, will, should, whatever, the next verb comes in the base form. And a complement if we have any, and we have both cases. And there is the comma rule. If you start a sentence with the if clause, you have to put a comma before the beginning of the result clause. All the time, in every kind of conditional, 0, 1, 2, 3, mixed, inverted, whatever. One more thing. On the result clause, you can replace would by could. Okay, music time. In order to show you another examples of second condition, I'm using another Bon Jovi song. And you might have guessed right, it's me singing, okay? Oh, come on, it's not that bad. If I could just rewind, I'd see in my mind. If I could turn back time, you'd still be mine. You can start a sentence either with the if clause or the result clause. Just drop the comma. Again, that's a rule that you can apply on every conditional sentence. If I could just rewind, comma, I'd see it in my mind. But if I start a sentence with the result clause, boom, I'd see it in my mind if I could just rewind, no comma. As you might remember, we can use other words, other adverbs to replace if. For example, as long as and unless. But how do they work? Let's take a look. If I could rewind, I'd see it in my mind. I would change that if by as long as. As long as I could rewind, I see it in my mind. You don't have to change anything else. But if I replace if for unless, I have to replace would for wouldn't. Guys, pay attention. When you are talking about something that it's impossible in second conditional, after any subject in the if clause, we use were instead of was. For example, if I were you, not if I was you. So, if I were you, I wouldn't do that. Okay? So remember, second conditional, if clause, play safe and use were on to be in the past instead of was. If I were you, I would do that. Okay? Practice time, okay? As I always say, let's practice, people. So, pause the video to do the exercises. You can go back in the video, you can check whatever you want, especially about structure. Okay? So let's do it. Come on. Working with the structure. Name each part of both clauses, the if clause and the result clause. To do this exercise, please pause the video for a moment and go back a little bit. Check the examples of structure that I showed you in the beginning of the video. Then come back and solve the problem. Yeah, that's it. First sentence, if clause, I have if, subject I, verb in past simple, want, attention, that's an irregular verb. And a complement, beautiful. In the result clause, we have subject plus would plus verb in base form plus a complement. And the second sentence, I would buy a boat if I won the lottery. Here we start with the result clause and we have exactly the same as the first sentence, just starting with the result clause. Take a look. Result clause, subject, would, verb in base form, complement. If clause, if, subject, verb in past simple, complement. Yeah, wonderful. Next, judging by the structure, classify the sentences below. If you go now, I'll understand is an example of, and if I could turn back time, you'd still be mine. Is an example of. One more time, pause the video and try to do the exercise. Yes, got it. If you go now, I'll understand is an example of first conditional. And if I could turn back time, you'd still be mine is an example of second conditional. Woo! That's my guys. Ooh, FUVEST. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. On vestibulares Enem, read the questions first, okay? If you go for any Cambridge examination, you take a look at the text first. In this case, let's go for the questions. Questão 26. Segundo o texto, o título do relatório publicado pela Unesco, I'd Blush If I Could, no que diz respeito aos assistentes digitais, indica, one more time, pause the video and try to answer the question. Hint, in this situation, the best approach is the scanning of the text. Scan is to look for some specific information in the text. Look for the sentence, I'd blush if I could. The possible answer must be around it. Go get 'em! Amazing! The paragraph that contains the sentence, I'd blush if I could, is here. The UNESCO publication was entitled I'd Blush If I Could, a reference to the response Apple's Siri assistant offers to the phrase, "You're a slut." Amazon's Alexa will respond, "Well, thanks for the feedback." The paper said such firms were staffed by overwhelmingly male engineering teams and had built AI, artificial intelligence, systems that caused their feminized digital assistant to greet verbal abuse with "catch me if you can" flirtation. You must have understood that the correct alternative is letter A. Segundo o texto, o título do relatório publicado pela Unesco, I'd Blush If I Could, no que diz respeito aos assistentes digitais, indica resposta padrão para comandos que inclui impropérios. You're a slut is like you're a prostitute. É como se você é uma prostituta, você é uma vadia. Which means it is not capacidade tecnológica para selecionar temas sensíveis ao grande público. Não é isso. Não é a preocupação dos fabricantes de dispositivos eletrônicos com usuários conservadores. Perda de controle das formas de interação entre seres humanos e máquina. Também não é a preocupação deles. Está aproximando, né? Está fazendo com que a resposta do telefone seja quase uma mulher submissa. Necessidade de elaboração de sistemas integrados de reconhecimento de voz. Não, né? Tanto que o telefone já reconhece até uma ofensa do tipo "you're a slut". Okay, guys, thank you very much for today. This was the end of the class of no. Okay, guys, thank you very much for today. This is the end of this vamos lá. Okay, guys, thank you very much for today. This is the end of second conditional class. Again, you can check all conditional classes. Actually, if I were you, I would do that. Thank you very much, guys. Bye.